Ah, I think I gotta stop that. All right, let's hope people can hear. Welcome, everybody, to Mic Drop Insights and Lessons from CI Thought Leaders. My name is Gary Cox. I am really excited. This is our first live stream, our web episodes, and I'm super excited. If you are a new Canadian, or if you're new to your country, whatever country you're in, and you've got this anxiety feeling about blending and fitting in, then you're going to want to hear what my guest has to say. My guest is Jinho Baek, and Jinho and I met in a very unusual way. I'm going to let him introduce himself and let him tell you a little bit about how we got introduced. So, welcome, Jinho. I'm really glad, Jinho, that you're part of the program.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. My name is Jinho. I'm originally from South Korea, and I just celebrated 10th year since we moved from Korea to Canada last week. So this is a very meaningful time for me, and yeah, it's I'm looking forward to share my journey and hope this encourage people.
Well, and tell them a little bit how you and I met, because I've got to be honest. I'm a little embarrassed by it, but I'm excited by it too.
Yeah. So how we met is through someone that I knew. So when I first came here, there's a program called Halifax Connector Program. So I had a connector, and through LinkedIn, when I connected him, so Gary was his coworker, and I knew him, his face. Obviously, he didn't know me, but one day I was at the IKEA restaurant, just having dinner with my family, and I saw him walk by. I knew he didn't know me, but you never know. So I just say hi, just like any friendly Canadian do, and didn't think of much of it. And then maybe a few minutes later, Gary walked by, by me again. So I said, I got to introduce myself. So I just walked up to him. Hi, my name is Jinho. I know you. I know you don't know me, but I know your coworker. Then right away, Gary introduced me this amazing conference that happening, I think, within a week or so.
Yeah.
You should join us, which is Lincoln. So guess what? I signed up and I joined. Gary had a session. So since then, we had a couple more coffee and some business conversation. And here we are. We're doing live together.
And it's been amazing. And you know what? I've really valued the fact that we built this friendship up, as well as our like-mindedness for continuous improvement. But you have an amazing story that really needs to be told, and that's why I really wanted to do this live. When you immigrated, and I understand it was 10 years ago, just last week, you said.
Yes.
Right. So 10 years ago, when you were, coming to Canada, what did that feel like for you to bring a young family? Tell the folks a little bit about your young family, and what did that feel like coming here? What went on in your mind?
Yeah, it was a lot of excitement, and yes, there's definitely nervousness because I never lived in a foreign country that long period of time. And with the family, I have two daughters, and one was born in Korea. So at that time, we had a one little one, and then my wife was pregnant at that time. So we moved across the country with a young family, with excitement, with some confidence. Actually, when I first came, I got this. I can do this, and just a little bit of a nervousness, which we'll get into later. It become a bigger part of a story, but I was excited to move. So it was kind of very passionate about, and I was very eager to jump right in. Um, but some story, like I'll share a little more later, but the story kind of changed over time.
Well, I think that change is what's going to be really interesting to folks, that how you were feeling, and what that was like for you. Let me ask you this: what were you most looking forward to when you came here? I mean, you left Korea for a reason, and then you came here. What were you looking forward to? What were you expecting when you got here?
So the main reason that we decided to move to Canada was essentially for the family. Just a bit of a background that South Korea and some of the Asian country has a similar work culture. Some of you might be familiar with it. Long working hour, long commute. It's really hard to have not only quality but just amount of time with your family or even friends for the same reason. So I was looking forward to have those work-life balance, quality family time. That's what we decided to move. That's what I was really excited about.
So when you got here, did anything surprise you? Was it what you expected? It was how, I you don't. I think I told you very not too long ago that my family moved here when I was 10 years old from England. So
Right.
back in 1969. This was long before internet. This was long before anything. To be honest with you, but I remember being a young English boy. I mean, we moved from London to Canada, and I remember having a strong English accent. I remember going to school, and my friends could play baseball, and I couldn't. My friends could skate, and I couldn't. And I felt like I felt totally out of a misfit. I felt all I wanted to do was go back home, back to England. How did you feel? Did you feel that too? Did you come here and then think, oh boy, what have I done? Or what did you
Yeah,
think?
I think I would be. I was similar. Definitely, there was some honeymoon period, probably a month or two. I was taking time, transition, just kind of learning, soak it in. It was May, so it wasn't a bad weather. It wasn't winter yet, so I was enjoying outdoor. Um, Probably 3 to 6 months when I started to having doubt and couldn't get a job or even interview for that matter.
Mm,
I started to struggle, start to doubt. Definitely, I had many times that what I what have we done? Did I make the right choice? That question definitely came to my mind.
mm. I mean, because you were an engineer, were you, or like you had a skill? Like a lot of immigrants that go into a new country go there with a skill set, and I think that's what intrigued me most about your story was, and probably the story of a lot of new immigrants, and maybe my dad had a different set of skills for sure, but when
Mm.
an immigrant comes to a country, they feel they have something to contribute and and what was that for you? What did you feel you had to contribute that you thought, okay, I can make a career in this field? It could be healthcare, it could be engineering, it could be the list could go on.
Yeah. Just a little bit about myself for the experience standpoint. I have a mechanical engineering degree. I worked for American engineering company for a decade before I moved to Canada. So when I mentioned confidence when I moved, that's where it came from. So I was confident that I was going to get a job in my field and in my humble, like it's almost like self um, talk was, oh, I'm willing to kind of move down maybe a step from where I was, but there was no question that I struggled that I did. In fact, it was full year that I couldn't get any job. But in the middle of those full year, I wasn't just looking for the job in my field. I started expanding it. And when you mentioned that, what really drive me or wanting to contribute, first, you are your father. You need to provide.
Mm,
Um, so that really hurt me as a father, as a husband, as
mm.
a human
Provider.
being, really.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's when real struggle really sets in, and I had to, change my approach. So I started to expand my job search in any area. I wasn't more specific. as I was in the beginning, because 6 months mark, you are really not picking. So
Mm,
that I started to really looking for any type of job to start something. So that's the kind of a first part of my journey.
yeah, yeah, and that desire to provide as the provider creates a lot of pressure and a lot of stress, which
Mm.
actually compounds itself to making it even more challenging to find the work that you want. I would think that's I'm trying to put myself in your shoes for just a minute and realizing that you're looking to make a contribution. You have a skill set. You've now downscaled your expectations and say, "Hey, I'll take something at a lower level." And at some point, you decide, "Well, I'll take anything." And I'm sure that's probably went through your mind. So,
Mm.
what was the switching point for you? What triggered something in you that allowed you to make that transition?
I think it's a realization of a reality. So when I came in, I had some kind of expectation.
Mhm.
I mentioned before that I was confident, and I thought I would get a job in this field. Salary will be ABC. So I had some kind of plan, but when reality really sets in, and when I accepted, okay, this is my reality. I need to change my approach. That's when really my approach started to change. Um, it motivated me. At the same time, it hurt. It hurt me so much in the deep down. So it was very much struggle for my identity. Decision that we made. At the same time, you have a family, and our relatives tried to help me. It makes it harder for me to realize and accept the fact that I am, you know, I'm unable to find a job or even any interview at that point.
Did you feel this pressure, Jinho, to I use this word assimilate. Is it like were you did you feel you were losing or needed to lose your Korean identity in order to fit in and become part of the working culture here? Or was that the pressure that you were under, that you wanted to keep your Korean identity, but you felt you had to lose it if you really wanted to find meaningful work or work at all?
Short answer is absolutely yes.
Okay.
It's kind of scary to say out loud and looking back, but I was so fixated to get a job or wanting to settle, or even more frankly, bring money in. Um, I looked through all the different avenues. For example, maybe I should change my name. Maybe
Mhm.
I should take some out of my resume. When you hear the feedback, oh, you're overqualified for this job. Maybe I should modify. There was not even a single thought. I need to emphasize needing Korean or what I had experienced. It was all like, what are they looking for?
Mm.
Always trying to fit in or blend in. Um, that was really my focus, um, to be accepted. Maybe at that time, the acceptance looks like someone hired me. So
Mm.
I was trying, every angle that you can possibly think, walk and talk and topic or sports that I never knew. I'm willing to go study at home.
Mm.
Hockey I didn't know. Football not so familiar with it, but people talking about it. I want to fit in. I want to jump into conversation. So I start studying. That's not my sport personally, but that's what happened when you really focus only on blending in.
Yeah.
And yeah, I thought about like, I need to make them work less to spend time with me.
Mm, mm.
So I don't think I ever share anything about my background, culture. I served military, all the things that they later I found out they are very interested in. I didn't share it at all.
Wow. Yeah. I can appreciate kind of why you would think to do that, right? It's one of the advices I've often given people that I've supported and mentored, and often many new Canadians when they come and I get connected like I did with you, is my advice to them is find a job that fits you. Don't you try to fit the job. Right. And
Mm.
that's kind of what I heard you saying is that you always felt you had to try to fit the job. You didn't necessarily let the job fit you. Is that a
Yes,
fair assessment?
absolutely, absolutely. And then I think later on my career, I'm applying what you're just saying when I'm doing, like, I've done quite a bit of an interview since I moved, got a job, and interview people. I often say we're we're looking for a candidate, but also I want you to look at us,
Mm,
because you can get a job, but if you want to be a long-term relationship with your job or company, that's something that you are interested in,
mm,
not just pay the bill. So I think but at that time, I wasn't thinking about that. I was just
mm.
wanting to get a job so bad that that doesn't cross my mind at all.
So so what small decisions did you make along the way that had the biggest impact for you? I mean, there must have been some decisions that you like the one you just said, hey, I'm going to change the way I think about this. What had the biggest impact for you in that switch over?
Yeah. Um, One thing that really, looking back, it wasn't intentional, but naturally, what I did was I actually look inside, think about myself. What am I doing? What I want to do? Who am I? So more of a self-assessment and reflection is probably first one. Some practical way was become more open to different approach, whether it's type of company, whether it's how you apply. I started to explore some traditional way. I've done bringing resume without any appointment, go to the company and drop off the resume, um, and start making phone call rather than just online. Using some local staffing company help me find the job. So like I started to adopt a little bit, but real kind of a benefit later on was really coming from look inside. I think we talk about briefly like identity, like who am I, what I want to do. Um, I can maybe blend in short term, but I don't think it's gonna work for the long term.
Mm,
So I start reflecting those my action up until that point, like 6 month and year mark. I start changing. So stop kind of trying to blend in. Start sharing my story. Just be honest. Who I am, and yeah, that really helped me to get where I'm at today.
mm. I mean, you talked about your military service. There's probably other life experiences. You obviously had a career before you came here, and so on. Did you was the work culture? Once you found the work, was the work culture? How different was the work culture once you found a job? Right.
Yes, that's a really good question. And this is for those who's watching, I think this is a more, Korean culture and from my experiences. So I don't want to, speak for all the other different culture, but from my perspective, it was so different, um, that I have so much, I had so much to learn, um, to work for the company because the culture generally is very different. So I'll give you an example. The leader back home, South Korea, um, leader is not someone who support the teammate, at least at that time. I think it's changing now. So if you work for someone, you have a problem here, or if I may generalize a little bit, in Western, work culture, you bring it up to your leader. I
Hmm.
have an issue. Can you help me? That is almost, I wouldn't say not allowed, but you get a bad score if you
Okay.
keep asking for support. You need to figure out, you need to solve, you need to get it done. So that was a leadership model that I had when I came here. So the journey that I had, I didn't, I wasn't a leader or management role right away. I had a probably good 3, 4 years of time just working as an employee, watching how work culture here works, helped me to, okay, leader here is a very different than what I knew. So that I it took me a while, but I really appreciate the time that I had to spend. Don't get me wrong, I wasn't happy because I should be doing ABC, but I'm doing this a little more entry level, kind of my career reset it. Um, but that was really good experience or the ingredient to help me to become who I am, especially as a leader, because it's such a different work culture.
Mm. So was there a turning point? Was there a turning point for you where you suddenly said, I get it. I'm going to be okay. I'm going to survive this and it's going to work out all right.
Uh, yes, but it came kind of gradually.
Ah.
Um, yeah, the first job that I worked for 7 years, I had many good leaders, very attentive, good people leaders. So there's a good model that I learned from. So it wasn't just kind of one aha moment, or I start switching how I work, or how I become a leader. It was a lot of different models that I'm watching, kind of shape my leadership here. So I'll tell you, I was a very different leader when I was in Korea than here.
So, so obviously you learned a new style of leadership that you embraced and you moved that forward. What about the idea that you obviously found new roles, new positions? Was there some sort of how did you retain your culture, your Korean culture,
Mhm.
while you were transitioning to this new role of leadership? Because if they were that much different, there must have been some things in the Korean culture you thought this would really work well here. How can I integrate it?
Yeah, so that's a great question because I always see myself, um, the person in the curtain. What do you mean by that is I'm kind of in the middle. The curtain is kind of right in front of me if I demonstrate. And I'm able to see both side of a curtain, which in this case, let's say Korean culture and Canadian culture. So because of the unique perspective, I'm always trying to take the good side of both world. So that what I really took it from Korean work culture is a very first they connect in very personal level. Um, Here, I think we wanted to respect privacy, personal area, which I totally get. But I had a lot of success to be able to connect with the people that I work with or work for, work alongside, by open myself up because
Mm.
that's a comfortable for me. I don't have a whole lot of area that I don't want to talk about it. No, if you're comfortable, this is what I experienced. Just like what we're doing here, I struggle. I didn't like at that time. I share those experience more mm, willingly,
Mm.
and I was able to kind of build a little more strong relations, not just professional connections or relationship, We get to know each other much better. So from whether it's a leader's perspective or just coworker, um, we become more close. We understand a little better. So that's a part of a Korean culture that I kept and start to introduce or integrate a little more in my kind of a professional career here.
So did you find that when you were doing that transition that you were able to be heard, like in a
Mm,
team setting, like you're in the continuous improvement world, I'm in the continuous improvement world, we often talk about how we work with teams. You mentioned teamwork.
yeah.
When you're working with
Mhm.
the team, did you feel that you could be heard? And if so, was it because of you becoming more extroverted in how you shared your experiences, or was it that you were invited to share your experiences? I'm trying to think of how do we sort of support other people who have new immigrants who may not be as extroverted or take the chance that you took. How can we
Yeah.
support that? What did that look like for you?
Um, I think it will look like it look different from everyone. Like you mentioned, not everyone has similar personality or are comfortable sharing
Mm,
that, and that's not the only way you can connect with your team member. Um, but I think if I have more of a principle, it's more you go first.
hmm
You go first. Whether it's you don't have to open up your personal side. You go first, a little more, you reach out, you talk first, you invite them in. So I believe there's a um, potential that if you move, doesn't have to be extrovert. I think that's the probably wrong picture
Yeah,
that
yeah.
we might have. Leader has to be like strong or charismatic. We have a lot of good leader, quiet, really good listener. So if you're probably in more of a introvert side, that is a strength
Mm,
personally. I might have a different personality or approach, but people need to start move first and expect somebody. Not everyone will respond or accept,
mm.
which you have to be okay with it.
Right, right. So let's tie this back a little bit to your continuous improvement mindset and thinking, right? I
Mm.
mean, you said mentioned you're a mechanical engineer, very methodical in how you go about solving problems, addressing challenges and issues. Did you approach this transition from Korea to Canada, finding a job and so on? Did you think of it as a project, and did you think, okay, I'm going to go through phases, and what do those phases look like? I don't know, because that's kind of what I'm thinking you might
Yeah,
have done. I don't know if that's true or not.
I certainly see it as a project. So obviously, I had a spreadsheet with all type of company and category and application. I track all those with a date and potential. Um, so definitely, there is the aspect that how I approach is the continuous improvement like tool. I definitely use those.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but when I actually in the role and I did a couple project management, and there's some culture aspect that you have to consider because these days there's so many diverse team as a continuous improvement team. So the methodology may apply differently
Mm-hmm.
depending on the cultural aspect. So if your team member is in the other side of the world, and I think it's important or worth looking into the work culture, what they're comfortable or what they're expecting, if you're the one who leading it or managing it, because it may look different than let's say your how you would do in Canada.
It's really interesting. I've interviewed a number of people on my webcast, this particular webcast, who have gone the other way. Right, they've gone to Asia, or they've gone to parts of Europe, and they tell me the stories of their North American thinking has kind of acted over there. And yours is the reverse. You're the first person that I've spoken to that has come this way. right? I say this way, meaning come west, I guess is more of what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
And so I'm really interested in how that transition kind of worked for you. So you obviously you found job, you found work, you found this place. Now what? Like, well, how are you defining success today for you? What does success look like for you today? Because you got a young family, and I know you want to keep your Korean identity alive with your children as they grow older. So tell me what success looks like for you today.
That's a great question. Like for me, the success is I think what I envision success 10 years ago is not what I would think as success, because back then it was all more practical. Have a job, make certain amount of money. But I think there's a quality side of aspect that I see is important for me. So meaning it's not only I have a fulfilling job to help company grow and continuous improvement or project management side of thing, but depending on who you are, I have a family. So who am I in the family member? What I like to accomplish with the family. So I think that for me is more than a more than a job title, more than a company that you work for, which I thought that was success was all about back home. And people
Mm,
still believe just pursuing career alone. But here 10 years later, my success looked very different. Sometimes I feel successful in the Saturday afternoon, just having coffee in our front yard, watching kids play or playing with them. Sometimes, I'm able to do chores with the family without keep thinking about work,
mm,
which obviously happened in the past. It's just it picks up your headspace 24/7. So that it certainly changed what success looks like, where I want to go. I think
mm,
that's a we talked about briefly the connector program. It's a giving back to or sharing.
mm,
So I love connecting with the people just moved, trying to settle in, looking for a job, and they have experience, and it's really fulfilling for me to small way, but help them to kind of expand their professional networking. You helped me with that one a few times too, so that it's a very it looks different what success looks like, but yeah, that's kind of where I'm at.
that I think is so critical that you've got this holistic view now of what success is defined for you as, right? And I think when I think about continuous improvement, I think you talked about the role of provider when we first started chatting, how you saw your role as provider, right? And provider doesn't just necessarily mean a provider of income. Now, I admit it that provider is that's probably the first thing people think of, but you're thinking about security, emotional security for your children and your spouse. You're thinking about the emotional security of helping others. You talked about the Connector program. I know that you secure your Korean identity. Like, we got to give a shout out to the tall Asian dad, right? So you've got a social handle called the Tall Asian Dad, and that where you share Korean recipes and food that you've cooked, or if you go to a restaurant and that has a Korean dish, you make a point of talking about it. That's all part of how you're defining success for yourself today, right?
100%. I think I'll tie back to some identity because I wasn't sharing or I wasn't really working on my identity first probably few years. But I realize it feels um, not anchored. if you know what I mean. Like
Mm-hmm.
you feel you're keep chasing. If I say more frankly, I want to become like Canadian. Was my goal in my head.
Mm-hmm.
But guess what? I'm not Canadian. I won't. I will never be fully Canadian because I'm not.
Well, it
So
depends on
I.
what you. I'm going to challenge you on that one, right? I think Canada. Canada. I think Canadians are defined. At the end of the day, we're all immigrants. At the end of the day, right? You may be, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, tenth. You count back generations, and eventually you find out that your family came here, unless you're with the First Nations group, and then that might be. Then you were here before anybody else. So I mean, we're on their land. They call Canada is known as Turtle Island for a reason, and we acknowledge that this land first belonged to the First Nations people, and we are visitors here. So I think when we think of what Canadian it means to be Canadian, I think I think it's part of that. I think you're every bit a Canadian as I am, as my grandchildren are. I think that I do. I really feel that. I've gotten to know you over the last year and a half or so, Jinho, and I would challenge that you're not. I think you are. Even if you want to say you're a Canadian in the making, I don't know, but I mean, take your children, like because you said one daughter was born here, right?
Yeah.
Is she Canadian to you, and you're not,
You're right. Yeah.
right?
But I think yes. I think the point that I wanted to make here is the you have to have your identity.
Yes.
You talk about the food. I never cook back home, but the reason why I you know start cooking or even sharing my Korean cooking is because of my kids. I have to be the one that carry on the Korean side of heritage for them. They can get from internet, but that's not going to be the same.
No.
So I want to give them a more anchor their identity because there are multicultural families, children. They will have a different kind of perspective than me as a Korean.
Mm.
We might share a little bit because they have a two different culture they're trying to learn, become part of. But I feel responsible for providing that Korean aspect for our kids. That's really how my cooking started. Even though I was really bad at it, now over 10 years of practice, I become decent, and we enjoy food together anyway. So that's the quality time I was talking about earlier. We can play, but also we love cooking together. So
See,
that's a big part of our time now.
see, that's how you define a bit more of that success, right? And again, what I'm talking about being a provider,
Mm.
that's being a part of a good provider. So let's kind of think about. Uh, Somebody made a comment in the chat a moment ago talking about how they commend you for your sharing of your story and how you're talking about lean Six Sigma also as a part of your skill set, right? So let's talk about advice for folks who are either considering coming to North America or Canada specifically, or even somebody who's going into a new country that is
Mm.
foreign to them. What advice do you have for those folks?
Um, I think you're gonna be in the position that you have to go outside of your comfort zone. And in order for you to, whether it's a job or friends or you want to make it new home, it's going to challenge you that you might have to do something different than your own country. So be prepared, willing to accept some challenges. Like I mentioned before, you go first, and you might have to go start having conversation with people or maybe company
Mm,
or people in the grocery store. Like it's a very different, and you will feel uncomfortable. Sometimes it will frustrate you. Often I share this emotional side of a struggle where we're in the LinkedIn world. It's a very professional driven, maybe some tips and practical. I don't think there's any lack of information these days, but it takes courage to say, I am struggling. I need some help. Or who can I reach out? That's a courage. So for those who's thinking about or already here, maybe you're in difficult time. Maybe you can have it, find a job. I want to really, give them out of love and care, be courage, and you go first. Try something new, and this time that you think it's hard will one day really pass, and you will look back. You're not wasting your time. That's another thing I want to tell them. You're not wasting your time because they're not. Some people are not young that they're trying to move, so they have all this. Oh, I'm in my 30, 40, even 50. I'm going through this. You're not wasting your time right now. This, it may look like it because nothing is happening, but just like I said, while I was watching other leader, it didn't give me any salary, extra money, but that really almost like you're gardening, water or you don't see anything immediate, but that as long as you are willing to take it as advice and that has a positive impact on you, if not today, will be tomorrow and for the future. So be patient, be honest. If you are having tough time, reach out, ask for some help. That's okay. So that's kind of my advice because there's a lot of advice, practical advice that people can find, but I've seen that side of is not really discussed or spoken. So
a couple of things you said there, that really kind of resonated with me. Was one, it's important to ask for help if you need help, right? I also think that you probably have a community of other Koreans that have immigrated here that you have connected with, right? You've got that family that you can connect with that share the same heritage. You can probably again, nurture the Korean culture in your children through that community as well. You mentioned LinkedIn. I think it's important. I always welcome people to connect with me on LinkedIn. I know you do as well. So if people are watching and they want to reach out and connect through LinkedIn, they can absolutely do that. I'm always willing to kind of help folks. I think to your point, I look at you and how brave. I look at even though even though you kind of knew who I was through somebody who connected you to me, a coworker, I also get that. That it took a little courage for you to kind of say, "Hey, I think I know you," or "I know you." And so it is about taking the willingness to take the risk to take the step that needs to happen. That resonated with me. And then finally, what resonated was this whole idea of watering, right? I think you've got this idea that farmers, we're in a pretty rich farm, and we're going to talk about your hobby farm before we go too, right? You've got a little hobby farm that you have there, and probably more than anyone now that, to your point, you don't see instant growth. It takes time, and things need to be watered, things to be nurtured, soil needs to get fertilized, right? And you don't pull it up to look and see how it's progressing. You leave it in the ground and let it do its thing until it becomes something, right? And I often talk about continuous improvement that way too, right? It's not a one and done thing. It's a process. And that resonated with me when you were talking about that.
Absolutely. I think one thing that I want to add is this picture really stuck with me and kind of relate to a lot of people in my shoes, like trying to settle in or fit in. Um, if you're in the water, you're not even swimming,
Mhm.
and usually that day you're very tired, and then you wonder like, I didn't even swim. Why am I so tired? Because your body is under the water working against the pressure. And I didn't realize at that time, but that was me probably first couple of years. Every day when I get up or when I go outside, I'm working. It's
Mhm.
almost like I'm breathing in the air that work my muscle, whether I do anything or not. So it's a normal that you feel tired, and it takes more energy because you're, whether you realize or not, you're you're scanning everything, you're looking at and see what they're saying, see if I'm making mistake, what I say, what I didn't say. um, I think that's a normal,
Mhm.
because you're in the new country with all different new culture and people. And I think it's definitely an area that if you're able, look around, if anybody needs support and help, I think it will really go a long way for those who are trying to settle in or blend in a positive way, because sometimes you don't realize what you're
Mhm.
trying to do.
So if you were giving advice to a leader, somebody who's in a
Mm.
role of either hired somebody or in thinking of hiring somebody who's an immigrant or somebody who's a professional bringing in a set of skills, what advice would you give the leader about allowing and how they leverage the skill set and the experience of
Mm.
a new immigrant?
That's good question. Trying to find out their why would be my advice. So, uh, in again, a little bit of a general statement where people want to find a better job, more money, maybe more vacation. There's a certain thing that people are pursuing. Depending on the candidate or people that you're interviewing, they might be part of it, but there might be more. Maybe they wanted to support their family. They wanted to bring their family. Um, they wanted to make their family proud. There's a different drive uh, depending on where they're from or where they are at that point. So it's not just about a career or a title or salary, even for that matter. Everyone has a different motive. So if you're a leader open to a more diverse team, the approach you can maybe broaden your questions, and maybe in terms of trying to find what really motivate them,
Hmm.
and if they are from other country, like why, what makes you decide to come here, or this. It's not just about what do you want to do our company, what's their career goal. I think that's an important question, no doubt. But there might be different aspect that you might find that there might be a good fit for different reason. So I think it's a more of a, you know it can be learned if you
Mhm.
talk to someone that you know that from different culture. Um, I often used to do before I do interview, if I see someone from different culture and I know someone, I'll reach out to them. then they might give me some insight. Or after interview, instead of just deciding, you're just understanding the answer from your perspective. I always kind of get a second thought on, do you have a different reason? And sometimes I end up doing follow-up interview to find out that's actually valid, or that's what it was about from that candidate. But I would say just kind of broaden your question scope or approach to find out everyone's why.
Finding out everyone's why. I love that. What a great way to think about it. And as you were talking, I'm thinking how maybe job descriptions need to change. Excuse me. Maybe not job descriptions need to change. We need to think about how do we share an opportunity so that we do get people who have vast experiences wanting to be a part of that job, whatever that job is. All right, let's talk a little bit about your hobby farm. Want to know a little bit about that. I know you got at least one cow. What else do you have over there at the hobby farm?
I mean, we've got a couple of different animals here, but if 10, or let's go back 15 years ago, someone told me in 15 years you'll have a farm in Nova Scotia, Canada. I didn't even know what to respond to that, because I was born and raised in the big city Seoul, apartment building, skyscraper. I never really put my bare foot on dirt ever.
Have you ever watched the show Green Acres? It's a very, very, very old program, and I'm dating myself by even saying the name of it. But you got to YouTube Green Acres, okay?
Okay, I should check it out.
It's about this couple that moved from the big city into a farm, and you just kind of.
You're talking about me.
That's what I was thinking when you said it. I'm thinking, this is kind of like a Green Acres episode right here.
That's exactly right. So,
too funny.
Cows or chickens, and some barn cat. We have dog, but mostly they just live outside. We have a garden, obviously. In order for me to cook Korean food, we will have to have 200, even more garlic, because we eat a lot of garlic.
I see. Okay.
So yeah, we move outside of Halifax, and be able to have a little more land, but we love it.
That's awesome.
To raise our kids. Good to walk around when weather's nice.
Yeah, it's coming.
I enjoy it.
Yeah, it's great. Listen, Jinho, I just really, really valued this conversation. I hope people who watch it will also value what you have to share and take to heart some of the advice and your experiences. I think if they reach out to you on LinkedIn or to me on LinkedIn, and I can connect them to you, but I think it's been really, really positive. I took a few things away. When I think about continuous improvement, I think about leadership, I think about being a provider, I think about those things are important to us. And for me, continuous improvement is a lot more about processes. It's about the people. And you and I both are aligned strongly in that principle, that processes are one thing, but people make processes work. And when people are leveraging their experiences and skills in the best way possible, I think everybody wins, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree
So
with you.
thank you for those of you who did watch. I appreciate the fact that you took time to listen to Jinho and I talk a little bit about what the experience was like for him to transition from Korea to a successful life here. He built more than just a job. He built not only a career, but he built a family, and he's being able to nurture his culture and his family. And I'm really thankful for you. And please reach out. Send us messages. Let us know what you thought of the program. My name's Gary Cox. Go to garycoxcreates.ca. You'll find links to videos. You'll see my book, and I look forward to connecting with you in the future. Thanks, and have a good night.
Thank you very much. Bye.